Speaker, as we join the people of Tafo and the Ashanti region, and indeed Parliament in general, to mourn in one breath and in another breath celebrate the life of Dr. Anthony Akoto, I think it's fair to say that we on this side are very, very deeply pained because he was and will remain one of the finest brains in our politics and our governance in this republic. Speaker, many know that he acquired much of his professional experience from providing consultancy services for the Korea division of the World Bank in 1987. And he was also, as has been mentioned, an academic professor in economics at Dillard and Howard universities between 1984 and 95. And his service to the Republic from his days as a civil society advocate at SEPA through the Ministry of Finance in 2001 as a deputy until his last days here in this chamber in 2020 bear testimony to the work that he did. Speaker, for 4 terms, he was here in this chamber contributing in various ways to legislation and to policy proposals that came before this House. Key among them will remain his contributions to the single spine pay policy in 2014 and the efforts that he also made in ensuring that the State Interests and Governance Authority Bill of 2019 was better structured than it was when it came into this House. And he inspired many a young member of Parliament who had just entered this House. I personally first got to know him somewhere around 2009 when I was a practicing journalist. He used to operate occasionally from an office around Kanda, where in the afternoons, myself and a few colleagues will visit him, and he will begin to teach us about the entire process of national accounting, budgeting, and the economic processes. Indeed, it was from him that I first heard the word fiscal. It was from Dr. Anthony Akoto in those offices in Kanda that I first heard the word fiscal. And typical of a lecturer, he would then cause you to go print this and bring it and sum up 2 paragraphs for me. And in that process, he will be teaching you. I remember in 2017, when I first entered this House, it was he who handed me over to Mark Esibe-Eboa, Member of Parliament for New Javin South at the time, and literally directed me in understanding a lot of the things about our economy, the budgeting processes, monetary policy. He will force you to read the MPC reports and try and get you to explain if you understood why the Bank of Ghana was going in a particular direction or not. My very first debate in this chamber during the 2017 budget was because Dr. Anthony Akoto suggested that I join the team that was going to participate in that debate. In the end, he was the one who encouraged me to take up higher studies in public accounting and finance, and actually wrote my recommendation letter to the university for higher studies. And so he's somebody who I know has mentored a lot of young people across the divide here, even as my colleagues mentioned. Speaker, for those who follow his policy arguments, one of the things he likes to talk about is policy coherence. Policy coherence. I don't know if my colleagues will recall. And he makes the argument that between the directive principles of state policy and what anybody is saying, there must be coherence in one breath. And then between what you yourself have said as a politician and what you are putting into your economic policy, there must be coherence. And between the economic policy and the budget itself, there must be coherence. And I think that if there's any testimony that we can hold up in the years to come, one of it must be to ensure that as we continue to do our work, the policy coherence which he spoke about will continue to percolate. We mourn him in one breath and celebrate his life and service in another breath. And on the day that I'm sure we are invited to come pay our last respects, I believe all of us will do the same. The last times that we had the opportunity to be with him, first as a group, as a finance committee, was when we went to pay a courtesy call on him on the passing of his wife, just around, I think, a year plus. And then quite recently, when he moved to the residence just around Parliament House, we had the opportunity to go visit him and to spend some time in prayer with him. And he was looking forward to a full recovery so that he could continue to support with ideas. May his soul and that of the faithfully departed rest in peace. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.